Good evening. Welcome to episode 237 of the Brewgooders, the beer comics and Assorted Geekery podcast. I'm Jeff, and squeaking on my right with his is former Kingdom FM movie review guru, Mr. John Bruce. How are you?
Hello there.
Have you?
I wasn't aware I was squeaking.
Just a little bit. That's fine.
Okay.
So we're just going to fire straight in. We're very honoured to have our good friend Ben joining us, and he can give us, like all of us, we're all like totally like super duper busy, and Ben is probably the busiest guy in comics. So we're going to bring him in, chat about the 77, what's happening with all the crazy stuff they've been working on. So without further ado, here is Mr. Ben Cullis.
Hey, all right, guys. How's everyone?
No, bad
All
one.
good. How are you?
Oh, good. Yeah. We all had a good Burns night, did we? Last couple of weeks back.
Yeah.
I wore a kilt.
All about
I went to a party. I wore a kilt. It was good. Yeah, but
yeah. I actually had haggis in Jamaica.
Okay.
How did they?
Hardcore, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty hard. How did they get that? How did that work? Did they import the haggis?
They had a theme party at the hotel I was at.
Yeah,
crazy.
Haggises are quite notorious to catch in the Highlands, so the fact that they were able to catch one,
they ship them over and then they let them settle down for a few weeks beforehand. You know, imbue the flavour. You get rum with them. It's great, honestly.
Oh yeah, that's amazing. I think
I may or may not be winding you up. I don't know.
There's probably some like elitists out there that are like, yeah, you can't have haggis with anything that isn't whiskey or iron brew. So,
but did you know that dark rum is often stored in whiskey barrels?
I didn't know that. Yeah. I also didn't know. I found it quite recently that whiskey when it's first like made. Well, I can't remember the word off the top of my head. Distilled, because it's not the same as brew. It's not the same as brewed, is it? But when it's first distilled, it's like the same color as vodka. It's like translucent. It's the barrel aging that makes it dark. And
there you go.
So yeah, there you go. Yeah. How are you? What's been happening?
Well, so I've had a break, and the last few days have been very much catching up with new projects that we've just initiated and we're signing off, and we've kind of entered a phase where what we're trying to do is also tell people a little bit more about other things that the 77 Publishing does, as well as doing our own Kickstarters. And if I get a chance, I'd like to have a chat about that. And I'll show you a special thing, which is this is the print proof. So this is Patrick Mills's and Olivier Ledoir's new book, Shah, a collection of stuff, and there you go. It's got a wee little 77 thing on there. You see, so we helped kickstart that, and then we're managing the fulfillment in the next few weeks. So I thought I'd show you that. So Shah had been kind of front and center for a little while. Word is, and Pat's very pleased with how things have gone, and Lisa as well, and they'll be looking to use our services again later in the year, which is fantastic. So we'll be touting that as well. And yeah, as always, we always seem to have a Kickstarter on. So
yeah, totally.
Yeah, we've got a Kickstarter on at the moment, and hopefully we can leave links here. That would be great.
Oh, of course.
www.http/.
Oh yeah, no worries. I'll get the links and I'll pop them into our comments for the episode. So
fantastic.
You always every time you're on, I always feel like you've got just a million things happening.
Yeah.
But,
I'm very lucky. I can, unlike you, who's told me already that you're getting up at stupid o'clock tomorrow morning to go to work, right? I'm able to kind of fully focus on this stuff. I have a bit of part-time work, but it is the luxury these days. Or is the reverse true that no one can really afford to do comics, so you have to have a bit of a side gig as well, or a full-time job? So,
yeah, but I think
and there's big comic news as well, isn't there? I mean, that company in America striking for bankruptcy, Diamond, is affecting everybody, and it's not great news, is it? But
it's great. I have been bouncing emails back and forth with my local comic book shop to try and get back onto my 2000 AD subscription. I found it quite recently and was quite just the diamond model just seems like, from the outside looking in, just seemed to be quite unsustainable anyway. I found out that, like, for example, just 2000 AD, found this out recently from a friend that, like, they collect them from Rebellion, ship them to the US for distribution, and then ship them back. So when you pick up a 2000 AD from a comic, like your local comic book shop who have got it from Diamond, it's come from the States, even though it was printed in the UK, which is mad. So, like, when you're like, oh, if that's like a relatively common business practice, then no wonder.
Yeah.
Their whole model changed, didn't it, during COVID? Because of course they shut, and they then had to close a distribution center. And then, of course, based on the fact that DC said, no, we're going on our own or going with Luna, and then it's just splintering, isn't it? So they've lost their monopoly, and now having to deal with 2 or 3 other big players. So you say it won't help in the end, but it just seems to prove that nobody really wants to make money out of comics at the moment. You know, comics. I'm not saying comic artwork. Graphic novels seem to be the way to go. Books. It seems that floppies are having a very, very, very hard time of it. So,
have you noticed that with them? Have you noticed that with the 77? Obviously, when we first met.
Well, the offers that we're looking. Yeah, what we're offering now, because obviously we're 5 years in now, and we've got quite a lot of material behind us. So I'm speaking with all of the creators that have produced a certain amount of work with us and want to move forward, and always agreed to do this, to collect and look at doing graphic novels. So Red by Night, Black by Day is one that's kickstarting now. It's going to finish its run with additional material in the graphic novel to make sure people want to, purchase it and get involved. And then we've got Division 77, Extinction 2040, Black Dog Lane, V. So lots of other stories are going to come now as graphic novels. It's because that's what the bookstores really want. They find it hard to keep up with a monthly title. We never were, but those that are monthly, bi-monthly. And if you're less than that, you find it hard to keep a regular presence. And I can understand that. So a book on its own, the bookstore may only make a couple of pounds, but it's better than making a few pence on a floppy. So that's potentially where we're going. If anyone's interested in contacting us, our email address is 77comic@gmail.com. If you're looking to get involved and want to know more about how to kickstart, so we're offering some kind of advice service, a little bit of that, seeing it. And I've got emails already from people. So
that's amazing.
Anyone watching this is interested to know. I'm sure, Jeff, if you'd be kind enough to put the email address.
Oh, I'll fire them all in.
Yeah. I mean, we'll talk. I have time to talk to people, and then if you want to find out more, then find out about our sort of packages and our offers and stuff, and the deals that we do, and hopefully it's okay. John Wagner, Pat Mills, Ian Gibson, bless him. All were happy with what we offered and how we did it. So we do come with some, pedigree, I'd hope, and people trust the thing that we did. Yeah. You're
also like collectively. To a man and to a person, obviously, just good people, good humans. So I always like when I was able to kickstart Jeffrey the Junior. I remember, like, as soon as we kickstarted and we got funded, I get a phone call from yourself. Just, you're right. How was that? What would you know? And it just just
people do not understand if they've not done it. Yeah. They do not understand just lots and lots and lots of things you got to keep juggling, all those plates you've got to be spinning to do a successful Kickstarter. It just from the very beginning to the absolute end of the fulfillment. So it always impresses me when people do their best to do it. And I want to reach out and I want to support people. So I think a quick how are you doing and how's it going? I spoke with your old pal Colin Maxwell today, just to see how he is, and always looking for advice. He's telling me about the Fan Frontier show which is coming to Glasgow. I can't find much information about it, so you've got to speak to people who are on the ground, haven't you? Do you know what I mean? Because I want to come up to Scotland and bring the 77 stuff with me, but these days it's like, is it more and more organizations are doing things part-time, or should I say they don't have full-time marketing staff? It's who do you phone? What do you find out? How I'm sure you guys would know as well. We appreciate the service that John Freeman at Down the Tubes with his yearly
totally
stuff, but that only works because people contact him and let him know. So again, if anyone wants to, I'll be watching in on some show. If you look at doing a show about what's coming up in the year, things that people are recommending, as well as comics, I would love to know, because I'll tune in and watch like your other fans, because where else do you find it? I mean, I know this is a little bit off but do you remember we used to buy magazines about comics? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, there was a press, wasn't there? There was the comics press, and I can only name 2 publications which are online, and their scope is much more, seems to be international rather than even local these days. So, and I'm not going to say that the two organs are not doing a good job. It's just they're not able to be relevant for people who are looking for the information that it's smaller indies want and things like that. So it's tough, isn't it?
It's just how we just consume information differently as well, and I totally miss, I just miss magazines in general. I miss going to like the newsagent in your town, and it just being wall to wall books and bits of and then that's how you find out everything. You bought your Kerrang and your
show talk a bit gloomy, but W.H. Smith is about to change, isn't it? I hear.
Yeah.
I believe the ones that they're going to keep, though, are the successful ones, and they're the travel shops. So the ones in the airports, the ones at the train stations, apparently are very, very, very profitable because they're smaller and they have, turnover. It's the big high street ones. But how many of us have been delighted when we've seen a comic that we like, or even had one of our comics in one of those shops? And it's been a measure, hasn't it, of success or popularity of titles. And we can all look to pals of ours who we know are releasing books and stuff and thinking, well, how are we going to get that out? So that's why we at the 77 appreciate the opportunity when you do direct marketing through things like Kickstarter. Say it's a model because you're already communicating with people who already potentially bought stuff or like stuff that you're kind of doing. So, maybe it's just another way to help people out and to do that. So that's what we're focusing on this year, is the same as, bring some more books out, go to conventions, but I think try and really talk more about how we're going to help each other. I'm not looking to become a publisher of lots of people's work. That's not the same thing. Just looking to work on being able to provide some solutions for people who are looking for opportunities to print a few hundred books and get, half of them sent out, and then they'll keep the rest and do the shows, which is not a bad model, is it? So
it's a massive thing. So I've certainly found it I talked about it in one of my recent books, actually. Is there's not really a community like the comic one, and when you speak to people at conventions and they're asking how do you I've got a few ideas, you maybe have somebody bringing out their smartphone or a folder, and they've got some work, and they're like, and I've had it more times than I care to count, where somebody's saying so how do I get from here to where you're standing? And I'm like, dude, I'm just a guy. I'm the imposter syndrome is weird. The imposter syndrome is massive, and it's genuinely just there's no cheat code, there's no magic wand. It's here's I'll send you an email that's got a 7-step how to go from idea to having a book at a stall at a Comic-Con. But if you don't know, and it's that support.
So I think being able to understand where the point of reference is, maybe to get some advice. So we've been approached by LICAF, the Lakes International, and Steve Bull and I are going to be going up and doing a workshop, and I'm hoping from that we can spin off and make people aware that the available help is online, because people just don't know about where do you start and what's the next step once you've done that thing and then you move on. And potentially I'll be working with CIC, which is the comics community being set up with funding, government funding. I think it's Arts Council money. So that's through Hannah Berry, Lorraine Godfrey, and a whole bunch of other individuals. I had a chat with them a couple of weeks back, and it seems like that there are bodies and there are organizations who are very aware that it's kind of almost them who are the voice pieces now. And I sat at LICAF last year at a meal. We had someone from the trade Board of Trade or Business, something with something to do with the United Kingdom government. This bloke who normally sat was next to me asking me about stuff, and he'd been invited because there's no trade representation. There's no body organization of comics. I believe there's a comic creators guild, or I don't know. I was speaking with Lou Stringer about that, but there's no one you can almost get on, pick up the phone or email for some basic information. Whereas if you were working in another field, there could well be, so it goes to show. And how many people do we know like ourselves? It must be thousands and thousands of people involved who really could just do with some more advice. So we're doing what we can. That's all I'm really saying. But there are plenty of other organizations as well. So, it's good to know. But
you're looking to become the Billy Bragg of comics, are you?
Absolutely. So I'm just going to say again. So basically, we've got this Kickstarter for Red by Night, Black by Day. It's a collected graphic novel written by Joe Healy, and the art's provided by Rupert Lewis Jones and Toya Natsumobi, otherwise known as Moby, who's helping us with an additional 20 pages to the first 35 pages. The book's being designed as a graphic novel. The Kickstarter goes until the end of February. And obviously, I'm going to say, go out there and check it out. And if you contact us at the 77comic at gmail.com or look on Facebook, just message us and I'll send anyone who contacts you. You can just say, I watched the show or just interested. We will send you a free PDF of the first edition of the 77, which had the first premieres Read by Night. So I think that's number 5 or something. So, normally it's like £4 to buy online, but we'd be happy to send anyone a free PDF. It's a 72-page comic, anthology comic, and it's got 8 pages, I think it's actually, of the first part of this graphic novel. So, we're always trying to make sure that people can access our stuff. And if anybody from the show wants to get in touch, that would be just absolutely fabulous.
That's okay. I've got bear with me because my computer doesn't work as well as it used to. But I've got the Kickstarter here as well. If you want to talk us through what's
So we're at 90% at the moment. As I say, it's got another week, 2.5 weeks. We've got a soft back edition, both the new covers, and a hardback bound edition, the digital as well. And then we've got some sketches available. So that covers by Ben McLeod.
So lovely.
Great artist. And he's provided us with that new cover. Joe also goes into some depth in the book about giving us information about the start of the idea of the book. These are more marketing kind of pages. I think a couple of them will appear in the graphic novel. They're not as how the comic appears. That's the variant cover there. That's by Mark Montague. It's a front and back cover wraparound. And it's about kind of supernatural powers in the 16th century, getting involved in developing manufacturing. It's quite strange. Joe's from the Black Country, which was, a manufacturing base in the 19th century. And it's about, basically, it's kind of like Peaky Blinders meets Lord of the Rings, okay, kind of thing. So there's that, and that's features on the artist there on the Kickstarter. And we got, the usual kind of things, T-shirts and different books and sketches and what have you. And signed scripts as well there. And, it's been really, really popular so far. So we've made around about 91, 92%. So it'll hit target. If anybody from listening to this and watching this is interested, go to Kickstarter and look for Red by Night, Black by Day. Or find 77 on Facebook, and we're pretty much telling everyone about it. It's all part of what we do for the period of a Kickstarter. And as I said, anyone who wants to get in touch and find out more about the particular start of the story, a little bit about 77, we'll email you a free copy of that particular comic. So just get in touch.
It's a chef's kiss comic. Is a 77 anyway. So folks should be reading that now. It must be really exciting. I know we've only got you for a couple more minutes. It must be just really exciting times. Like I know this is very different to when you started. Like obviously, where you've alluded to having to potentially move on or pivot slightly to this like hardback stories, like fully contained stuff and that. So
yeah, I agree. But basically, I also think that the creators who showed a lot of faith with us and then went with us in the comic, I think basically, they should do pretty well out of a collection as well. It's a reprint. It's an opportunity for more income for those concerned. It means when we go to shows, we've got books as well. It's win-win for everybody. And that advice I got from a gentleman called Tom Ward, who did Elephant Man, John Marrick's Elephant Man. And I did a show with him, on Lycaf. And he was saying, when you get to a certain part of your cycle, then collecting them and then start turning them into collected graphic novels or what, like you said, then it starts becoming self-perpetuating. And we're at that sweet spot now. So I can invest time in looking at new product, but also we're investing and looking at what we've already done. Obviously, who knows? We may well be promoting new work from people, looking and helping, as I said, some industry stalwarts like John Wagner. We helped him with The Bogeyman, Shah with Pat Mills. A new book we'll be talking about in a couple of months' time. Happy to come back when we can talk about that show as well. Maybe we can get Pat on the show as well. He's not reclusive. He likes to chat. He wants to get out. So I'll mention about you guys. I think there's a whole load of people who likewise want their work to be reappraised or given an opportunity if it's the first instance. But where there are fewer opportunities in bookstores, how are you going to do it? So, like we say, being online, that's what we learned, wasn't it? I mean, that's how we first met, isn't it? Doing shows like this. When we started doing our Kickstarters, we always have a pre-show event. We started in COVID when we couldn't get out, and here we are 5 years later, guys, almost 5 years later, and we're continuing the conversation. So I think it's just great.
It's impressive.
I really appreciate you inviting me on.
No, you're a mate. It's just nice stuff. It's nice. I always like having you on because we sometimes deviate away from what we're actually supposed to be talking about. it's always amazing.
By the way, Jeff, this is new furniture.
Good. If I'll need to go find that clip. There is a clip. There's a clip of Ben
the furniture
in the middle of a podcast.
That's what you're talking about, but you'll have to.
That was it. That was during COVID as well. So it was like when we all didn't know how to use technology, and so I didn't realize that if somebody wants to leave the room, I can just do that and bring them back in. So Ben's there's this. We're doing this show and Ben has to go and do something. So he's muted his microphone, but he starts moving furniture. So while we're all having this conversation, you can just see in the bottom corner Ben walking past with wardrobes and stuff. It's amazing. It's good stuff.
Who knew that you could blur a screen or anything? In those
yeah, totally.
I mean, look, I'm even using a wee little mic kit.
I know. How the times change.
Yeah. Have you got one of them? Have you got one of them circle lights? I've only got a light.
No, I've not got that yet. I've got a circle thing on the microphone. So we'll get there.
I know it's like you put not we, but women put their makeup using them. Apparently, that's where they started from, and then it's like, everyone needs to have one of those circle things.
The partner stole them for their podcasts.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Right, we'll let you go. Thank you so much for your time.
Fantastic.
Maybe
we'll catch up in person as well. I don't know what you guys are doing in terms of the shows and stuff, but if we get up to Glasgow for saying Fans Frontier, if anyone knows more about it, send me some information. I'd like to come up. So
sorry, we're having discussions in our group chat about whatever convention we're going to this year. I think the lads are going. I think most of the lads are going back down to do Thought Bubble again, but I know I personally won't be. But it's on my son's birthday, so I can't ditch him.
Yes, I know.
But I quite fancy Lycaf. And just like conventions. So we'll definitely catch up at some point, man.
Absolutely. Right, guys. Thanks ever so much. It's been absolutely wonderful chat.
Take care.
All right. Cheers, take care, guys. Thanks a lot.
Cheers, Ben.
He's a nice guy.
Yeah. Have you not met Ben yet? No.
I've been on the podcast with Ben a couple of times. Yeah. But obviously, I had been on a bit longer today. We've asked him a few questions I had lined up, but there's always another time.
Awesome. What are we going to ask him? Ben, you got 2 more minutes.
No, it's nothing. It's fine.
Here he is. John has some questions written down, and then John's now raging at me.
No, it's all good. No, we've lost sound.
Ben, you need to turn your microphone back on. Oh, this is great.
Nah, we've lost him. We've lost you, Ben. Sorry.
Watch you, Ben. We'll catch you another time, man.
Yeah.
What were we going to ask him?
Okay.
What were we going to ask him?
No, I was basically just going to be interested about the whole process of putting the 77 together. You know, how are they finding the are they hunting down people? Are they asking people for submissions? Are they writing and art teams put together by them, or is it people that know each other that are putting stuff together? Stuff like that. I mean, are they like editing?
My
putting teams
understanding of
together.
Ben's work. My understanding, it's a bit of all of that. I think Ben's
Okay.
just Ben's like, he's like a conductor of an orchestra. If you've ever seen him like at a convention or something, he's got. And I usually joke when he's on the show about how many plates he's spinning. He's usually got about 5 or 6 projects on the go, and it seemed to be a combination of that. So like when he had he worked with John Wagner and to put the Bogeyman, you know, so that came pretty much from John completed, and the 77 acted as a publisher, whereas So, but when they're doing the 77, you know, they're bringing in stories and artists and pulling them together, a bit like how we did the anthology and stuff. So they just do,
cool.
they do a bit of everything. But it's amazing. From what I understand, they're doing this year, and what Ben was saying there is they're looking for more talent and commissions, and you know they're looking for work that they can give a platform to, which is really pretty awesome. So
that sounds like it.
Yeah,
it's just obviously we see that he's put the 77 brand on like the collected editions because they were obviously from the 77, much in the way that 2000 AD would be, you know, from the pages of 2000 AD, stuff like that, you know. But then obviously there's a lot of people who kickstart stuff from the States, and because they're in the States, it costs a heck of a lot to get the physical media sent across. So usually a lot of people go for digital, even though they maybe prefer to have physical. So is it worth having somebody who could print up stuff over this side of the pond to distribute for the Americans or whoever around the world? Like I did for my friend Chrissy when I did the cover for her. I suggested, well, look, I'll get some printed up across here and I'll sell them at conventions for you. So just stuff like that, it's always kind of, you know.
It's fascinating. That's certainly something I've looked at as well. I've been because of the podcast, been really fortunate to get meet loads of different friends from all over the world, and that's certainly something I've looked at. Like your book's amazing, but I remember James Everett. He has a book called Kid Chaos, which I really, really enjoy. And I bought a copy from his Kickstarter. He sent it to me, and he deliberately put loads of extra stuff in the because I paid to have it imported. It was something like the comic cost me £6, and to get it imported cost me £14. It was like £22 something by the time I'd got it over. And he felt really bad, and so he was just like, "Oh, Jeff, I've wired in loads of other stuff." But that's obviously not so. I appreciated that gesture. He sent me like alternative cover copies of the book and stuff. But that's not sustainable for him, you know. So it's looking at like But now that Diamond's looking like it's going to go down the tubes as well, like it's looking at how we can as a community help each other. I think so. Like you've stumbled on something really, really important that we could probably start as a community start doing. Like, you know, it'd be great to have our stuff over there, you know, as well, but over the pond or somewhere else in Europe. But I think
I mean, obviously we know creators around the world, you know, we know people here, there and everywhere. Just help each other out, you know.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Our Stu's in the green room while we bring Stu in. He's mid.
Bring Stu in.
Here he is. How are you?
Hello. Not bad at all. How are you guys?
All good.
All good. Not bad at all. Well, we do a wee bit of a sort of geekery before we call it. Yeah, before we call it a night. What have you guys been up to? What's happening?
I'm drawing as per usual, so I'm got a deadline approaching, as well as another project arriving soon. So I need to get that one out of the way before the next one starts. So that's what I'm doing just now. In between watching a bit of TV here and there, and I'm off to something geeky tomorrow. Oh yes, I'm off to the Neighbours 40th anniversary celebration tour. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Who's going?
Fucking get on.
Who's in attendance?
Well, Melanie from back in the day. Just usual Neighbours cast. Nobody like sort of major like Kylie or Jason or anything. But just
Harold
if
Bishop.
you like the show. Unfortunately, no Harold Bishop. No, he's been struck down by the cancer. I'm afraid so.
Oh.
He was not. He will not be travelling.
No, that's a shame.
It's not going to be like one of those. It seems to be the thing now. There's always a contest like Timothy Chalamet lookalike. They might have like who's going to judge the Harold Bishop contest now? Like all the cosplayers.
Exactly. So yeah, I'll be doing that, and I'll be passing up a convention at the weekend to go to said thing. So there's I believe a convention in Edinburgh this weekend. So
oh yeah, it's
on Saturday.
Is that the Edinburgh Comics Art Fair? Is that right? Is that yeah?
I don't know if that's what it's called, but yeah, it's something. Yeah. Yeah.
I can't remember what it's called. I applied to get a table and it was full. So the petulant child in me was like, "Oh fuck it, then I'm not going." But,
and there was GCAF last weekend, and then next weekend it's Capital Sci-Fi Con.
Well,
convention season ahoy!
It's always in my sort of headcanon. Capital Sci-Fi Con's like the first one that gets us going.
Yeah.
I'm considering going. I'm waiting to find out what my shifts are for next weekend. But yeah, Peter Davison from Doctor Who's going to be there, which is amazing.
The Emperor, Ian McDermott's going.
Oh yeah, but Doctor Who's going.
Yeah,
so like,
well, I met Doctor Who, so yeah, it's cool.
But it's cool. Ian McDermott, awesome. Like Mr. Palpatine himself.
Indeed. Stu, you're doing some good moustache twirling going on there. Have you got some Machiavellian plans going on?
Not at all.
Not at all.
Right, I'm going to drop out for 2 seconds, guys, because my battery's running low. I'll be 2 seconds.
Okay. Hopefully he means his battery from his computer and not his Android body.
Yeah, the batteries are just falling out of his arse. He's just going to tip over. That's it. The stream just goes on. We can't end the show. It's the beginning of
congratulations on hitting 1,000 on Instagram.
Oh, yes, thank you very much. It's just one of those things that slowly been creeping up, and then when it got to about 800, 900, like that seems to have been the longest goal. It took so long. I'm not sure if it's just because where it's like, right, you found all everyone in your niche, like the craft beer Instagram like well is now dry. But no, thanks to Mr. Colin Maxwell for helping us get over that hump. So
congratulations. The algorithm is all to crap on everything. Instagram, my views went down big still. Bizarrely enough, my biggest views are TikTok, of all places, for artwork. And my dancing videos, of course. Where I do my dancing. And twerking.
Sure. The algorithm is like I have shared with some friends obviously I'm as a man in his mid to late 30s. Chappelle Roan is not. I'm not the key demographic for that, but John, like, go away and Google her when you're finished, man. She's fucking awesome. But it's what all late teenage, early 20s women are listening to at the moment, and but there's a whole thing on Instagram about men in their 30s dancing to Chappelle Roan because musically it's awesome, and it's like that's all my Instagram like algorithm is just now.
That's worrying.
No, it's just scenes from movies that I like, where like somebody does some dad dancing, and then they'll just put Chappelle Ronan over the top. So like scenes out of My Name Is Earl and stuff like that. It's great. The algorithm's fucking mental. Like I don't quite understand it, and I don't know if you've had it when you're putting stuff on TikTok. You're like, oh, this is going to look focal probably invest in this, and then it gets nothing, and then something bizarre and random that you just fly off the cuff gets like hundreds of views, and you're like, why is that the thing that people are connecting with?
I only post artwork, so I'm not trying to sell anything or promote anything. I just like to put stuff up so people go, it's nice to get a bit of validation once in a while. I'll put up artwork every so often, so I'm not hitting like millions of views or anything. I'll get a couple of thousand views. I'm a happy camper, So, but there's a Star Wars one that's slowly ticking away. It's nearly at 8,000 views. I'm like,
that's amazing, man. That is cool.
For what it is, for the fact that it's not anyone dancing or twerking or pranking someone or putting in car windows or anything. That's it is what it is.
It is mad. Like, and then you've got like we talk about Colin Maxwell. He seems to have cracked it. Like everything Colin does, and I know that Colin's got like Colin is a stalwart of the comics community, but he often comes up with ideas in conversations with me, and I'm like, Colin, that's not going to work, and then he does it, and it fucking goes mental. Like I always remember that one where he did him like skipping round Thought Bubble to Donald, Where's Your Trousers? And it got thousands and thousands of views. I'm like, what's going on? And I'm like toiling away on to get like 10. And I'm like, oh, there's definitely there's magic to it. And then you've got like, as I say, you got Stu's clicked it as well. Like Stu with his hashtags.
No, it's a team effort.
It's just but yeah, we were talking about that in our group chat just before we came to air, just how rubbish social media is anyway, just like adverts and nonsense. So congratulations on the Lagerlogs total smashing it, man. That's well smart. That's you're now just 4.2 million views away from being monetized on YouTube.
Yes, there's always another uphill battle. And you think, right, we made it to the hill, then you see the next hill, and like,
the YouTube monetization ones are quite funny because there's like one or two that are really like they're quite achievable. They're like, oh, post 3 videos in 90 days. And you're like, oh yeah, I can do that. We do that probably through nonsense in a couple of weeks. But then the next one's like, get 5,000 hours of content viewed within one calendar month, and you're like, oh.
Oh well, that's it.
So anyone watching anything exciting on the telly or interesting or excited for anything?
I finally got around to watching Shōgun on Disney Plus. Really, really good show. Like brilliant. I think it's a one and done. I don't think they're making any more of it. But God, it's just such a great sort of like the hour-long drama. There's like 10 episodes, and yeah, it's like watching like the best seasons of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, just brilliantly acted. There's just as many families sort of like in Shōgun as there is in like Game of Thrones. So at first it's like, wait, what family is he from? Wait, what's this? Right. And then we get like your white character that's introduced to the show is okay, right? We're his vessel. We're like him, like this fish out of water brought into there, learning everything for the first time. So we all kind of cling on to him. And unfortunately, I think the guy's called Cosmo Jarvis, and he's just referred to as like just Tom Hardy from Wish. It's dead accurate. He's got the looks. He's got like the deep dark voice, but it's unfortunately that they've tarred him with that brush. But
That's a
no,
career killer.
so,
I've heard nothing but good things about Shogun.
Mm.
So it's like I think Disney Plus is maybe a bit of a sleeper hit. Like they obviously put it up, and there's a lot of effort and money behind it. But I think the longer it's been on Disney Plus, the more I'm hearing about it. So
yeah,
I remember the original back in the day, back in the 70s, Shōgun, which was Richard Chamberlain, I think, if I remember right. If Andrew was here, he'd back me up. But yeah, I haven't seen the new one yet. No, I was watching also Disney Plus. Fleischman's in Trouble. Very good miniseries. Jesse Eisenberg, Adam Brody, Lizzie Kaplan, based on a novel. Just about a guy struggling with a recent divorce.
oh wow,
it's quite good. Fleischman's in Trouble. It doesn't go the way you think it would. You think to yourself, well, the story's going to go here, the story's going to go there. No, it pleasantly surprises you. So it goes in twists and turns. You just never see coming. You think, well, the character's not going to do that, and oh, the character did do that. So it's a very good show.
I don't know if I'm ready for that show.
No, well, yeah. But it's a good show. It's a very well acted. Claire Danes is in it as well. She's stellar. Really, really good. And then I've been binging Party Down on Amazon Prime. But I used to watch it back in the day. There was 2 seasons, and then it got cancelled, and it came back for a 3rd season last year. And it's basically about a group of party caterers who are completely useless. And it's Adam Scott, Ken Marino, Martin Starr, Kristen Bell guest stars as well.
Oh, cool!
Very funny show. Party Down. It's called.
I'll check that out, man.
You can get it on the MGM trial just now. You can get for a week. There's only 26 episodes, half an hour an episode. You'll blast through them, and it is genius. And it's all people you'll go, oh, I recognize that person. Recognize that person. Recognize that person. From whether it be Veronica Mars or the big Judd Apatow movies. You recognize a lot of people and go, oh,
cool.
It's good fun.
I like all those movies. This sounds good. This sounds amazing. I've never even heard of it. I'm always late to these things. Like, has anyone seen that? And they're like, yeah, we all watched it like 4 years ago, man.
Yeah, well, I think it was 2009, the original season, and then they came back for 6 episodes just in 2023. So, Party Down, very, very good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that other. That's happening just now on Apple. The Adam Scott show, Severance.
Severance. I haven't seen season 1, so it's on my list. Yeah, Severance for sure. Yeah,
it's back to the old school of 1 episode a week. So I think
cool.
It's. I'm doing my best just to let it pile up, because it's definitely one of those shows when it finishes, like, I need to see what happens next, and I can't be doing that every week.
There's some shows that benefit from being 1 episode. You think it's like, oh, I've got 7 days to wait till the next episode, but it flies around before you even know it, and you go, oh, right, okay, there's a new episode. I'm doing it with a couple of shows on Disney Plus right now. There's a show called High Potential, and it's Caitlin Olsen from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and it's basically, Andrew will hate it because it's like a police procedural, a weekly procedural, but it's essentially kind of like a castle type of monk situation, where it's somebody who's like out of their depth, who's helping police solve crimes.
Oh, cool!
It's fun. She's a cleaner, but she's got high IQ, and she sees things that nobody else does. So it's kind of like a mentalist castle type of monk type of deal. It's a lot of fun. 45 minutes an episode, once a week. I'm happy enough to watch that.
It's great. I've become quite fond of doing that as well. Like more so with like podcasts and like YouTube channels I watch, where that they've got their schedule, so that like on a Tuesday you've got this, on a Thursday you've got that, and that's how we used to watch TV. I remember being like, Saturday night was Doctor Who, Monday night was wrestling, and I'd work through my week based on the things I was excited about. And then we lost that obviously with Netflix and like streaming culture in general. And it's nice to get it back with obviously Disney do it with Disney do it when they bring out a new Marvel show, which is quite fun because you can have like you can have your water cooler moments. You can have did you catch that last night chats, which are always good fun. I've got a friend at work who is she's watching Doctor Who for the first time. And so like every time I see her at work, you know, in the gaps between the shifts that we're working together, she's caught another 2 or 3 episodes. And then she was like, and then she asked me the other day, like, what do you do when like you're finished? I'm like, well, you get excited for the new season and then you have to like watch it 1 week after the other. And she's like, I don't know if I could do that having watched like knowing I can watch like another 3 episodes, you know, and that I was like, that's like that's how Doctor Who's been consumed for like its entirety. Is like it's just the Disney Plus, the BBC iPlayer putting up series after series that's changed the way we consume Doctor Who, because I was like, my entire childhood was like watching the reruns in 5 parts over a month on BBC Two on a Tuesday. You know, it was like it's just how we consume. It is like that's how we consume television. It's just this thing of watching a season and you know binging a season when the one that comes out is brand new.
Mm-hmm. What's her jumping on point? Is she going right to, you know, the black and white original?
No, she started with Rose. She started with Rose. So like the first Christopher Eccleston, the 2005. Which I think a lot of people do. I know my friend Stormy. She did the same. She started with Rose, and then like the conversation always get like it's happened a few times with my pal at work now, where she's like, well, like, would you, you know, how would you go about watching like the old series? And every Doctor Who fan will tell you something different. You know, somebody will, you know, you'll get a Doctor Who fan that will say start with An Unearthly Child, the 1963 pilot, and just go from there. Whereas I'm kind of the belief that like you can just like stories, so dip into a story. So like just go and watch Pyramids of Mars, go and watch Genesis and the Daleks. Particularly when a villain gets introduced in New Who, you can go back. And I know even Doctor Who kind of played a bit with that last year when they did that. They had a show called Tales of the TARDIS, where it was which I really enjoyed, but it was just two members of the classic series cast sitting in a room that looked like in fairness, it looked like a rundown, like a shitty little TARDIS
it was classed as the memory TARDIS.
Well, yeah, it showed up in the actual show, and I'm like, oh, I was buzzing. But yeah, it's just this idea where I liked it when the memory TARDIS showed up, because I was like, oh, that's the Tales of the TARDIS thing. Yeah. You know, I thought it was really a clever done, but it's a really good way of revisiting old stories as well, because it's like, the one I watched was I think it was the Caves of I can't remember that word. Peter Davidson's last story, but it was him and Tegan talking through it. And I was like, oh, this is and just cool, like stuff like that.
Yeah. I forgot to say that I think the last time we were on, the Star Trek Section 31 movie was about to drop on Paramount Plus. Yeah, it's rough.
I watched the first 10 minutes and was just like, nah. And by that point, you'd already said on Facebook that it wasn't very good. And I'm like, well, I'm not enjoying this. And I know off a very trusted source that it's not going to get any better. So it's like everything bad about Discovery rolled into an hour and a half movie. It's just not good. Yeah, it was pretty poor. Yeah,
so that's that. So, and that's Lower Decks done, which ended with a killer 2-parter, which was just fantastic. And then we've got the Strange New World season 3 to look forward to. So,
yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for Strange New World season 3. I thought the season 2 cliffhanger was immense. It was a really good cliffhanger, obviously, but then unfortunately, like I think the issue, and I don't know if they'll I assume they'll work their way around it, but we know where Captain Pike's story is going. So even at the end of the season 2 cliffhanger, I was like, well, he's going to be fine, at least for the next couple of years. And then I saw they released like a 5-minute video of one of the upcoming episodes where they all become Vulcan.
Yeah, that was a
Yeah,
teaser.
I was like, and you're like, oh, okay, well, why did like season 2's? I don't want to spoil it, but season 2's cliffhanger was so intense that you're like, for the teaser for season 3 to be this weird lighthearted jaunt, which obviously Stranger Worlds does really well. I'm like, oh, like that's kind of devalued what was really a pretty intense cliffhanger.
So the good thing, I find the good thing about Trek is when they're more experimental with what they're doing. Like for instance, if you ever watched any of the short Treks that they did, the sort of kind of like the 10-minute short episodes, they were fantastic. Give me more short Treks, please. Give me more Lower Decks. Just experimental stuff, and that's why I enjoy Stranger Worlds. Obviously, we had the musical episode, which was just bonkers, a bit fun, and then we had the crossover with the animated show, which was just fantastic.
The crossover episode is my favorite ever of Star Trek. I think ever.
Yeah, I watched it again last week. Yeah.
I don't think Star Trek has been better. And I don't like.
It's good.
I'm a lifelong fan.
Yeah. Well, me too. Yeah. So that's that.
Yeah. I've been watching again, like coming 2 years late to something. I've been watching The Gentleman this week. I finished the season 1 of The Gentleman. I don't know if anyone's seen that. It was.
I've got the film. I haven't watched it yet, but I will eventually.
So the film's fantastic. I hope to do with a test of that. The film's brilliant. It's really good. It's crafty. The TV series is like a spin-off of the film, so it's got none of the characters from the movie, but it's set in the same universe. But it's got that same vibe. I would say like your elevator pitches. It's if they got I suppose it's basically what his stuff is anyway. But it's if you got Guy Ritchie to do Brassic, is kind of how I would like. Yeah. So, but that's what Brassic is anyway, isn't it? Brassic's a bit. Brassic's Guy Ritchie mixed with like the in-betweeners.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of a lock stock vibe to it.
Yeah, Brassic is basically like the bastard love child of Lock, Stock and Snatch. Basically, that's what it kind of is. Yeah. So, well, if that's what it's a mishmash of, I'll watch that at some point.
It's good fun, and again, a bit like you were saying about Party Down, like it's a who's who of like random British actors. So somebody will show up, and you're like, oh, it's Ray Livingston, it's Ray Livingston, and then somebody else will pop in, and you're like, oh, it's the boy that did the voice for Darth Maul, whose name I can't pronounce, Peter Serafinowicz. That's him. But he's in an episode playing like a Scouse gangster.
Oh,
so
that'll be good. Okay.
He's got one of the most distinctive voices in TV. So they give him a Scouse accent. It's just like it's bizarre. Like
fantastic.
It's good fun. And then I flew to the US to watch a TV series this week.
Oh,
you need to stop doing that.
I need to do that.
There's got to be better ways to do this.
Yeah,
that's why you work at the airport for that. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. It's just so I can go, there's a new season of this starting. I'm just going to jump on a flight.
Yeah,
but it's called Going Dutch, and it's got Dennis Leary. Is that his name?
Dennis
Leary.
Dennis Leary. Yeah.
He's in. What's he in? Demolition Man. He's a good comedian, isn't he? He's like a stand-up comedian. There he was.
He had a show called Rescue Me where he was a fireman.
Yeah.
Which was quite good.
He was Gwen Stacy's dad in Amazing Spider-Man as well. I remember that.
Yeah.
But he is a military colonel who he thinks he's getting promoted to take over this like awesome like state-of-the-art military base in Germany, but they send him to, as a punishment, they send him to a shitty military base in the Netherlands, where he basically like I can't quite work out yet, but basically it's the army can get an income out of this base because they specialize in laundry and cheese. And which is weird as it sounds, but it's just quite funny. So it's like that fish out of water. He wants discipline, and he wants like his crack team of soldiers to like, but it's it's all It's where they've sent all the shit soldiers, and they're all just getting stoned because it's the Netherlands, and they're. But it's got a really good cast. It's got Catherine Tate playing a Dutch prostitute, and the guy whose name always escapes, the guy that plays Ahmed in Community, and he plays like the second in command. And it's just I watched. I think there's only 5 episodes out yet at the moment, and it was just good manner. Enjoyed it. Total. Just one of these other shows that's very similarly in the vein of Community, Mythic Quest, Brooklyn Nine-Nine. You know, these kind of like it'll be good when there's 3 seasons and it's on Channel 4 and you can just watch it when it's on. Yeah, one of those kind of shows. So yeah,
cool.
Go in Dutch. So yeah, and tomorrow night I'm going to see one of the cinematic events of the year. I think if you're a 9-year-old boy, because Dogman comes out this week, which is
okay.
So I mean, Sonny are going to the cinema to see Dogman tomorrow night, which is I believe it sounds like, which Sonny was explaining it to me, and he's like, it sounds like he was making it sound like a total body horror movie, where he's like, it's about a guy who gets in a horrific accident, and so does his dog, and the only way they can save them is if they cut his head off and replace it with the dog's head. And I'm like, that sounds horrible.
I saw a feature for it. It actually looks pretty good. It's got a decent voice cast as well. So
decent animation. It's a DreamWorks movie as well. And it's the same. It's from the same. It's based on a book series by the same guy that did Adventures of Captain Underpants. So, which was quite a good movie. Anyone not seen it yet? I watched it with Sunny last week and was like, "Oh, this is actually quite good." Like, so yeah, watching that this weekend. And the Glasgow Transport Museum, which is like one of the coolest museums in the country, has a Star Wars exhibition. So yeah, so we're going to go and do that as well. I think it's they've got a couple of vehicles.
Might go.
Yeah, if you're about on Saturday and you want to grab a coffee,
maybe,
give me a shout. Yeah, they've got I think they've got a couple of the vehicles. They've got a land speeder and stuff, and they've just put it in the. So I've been in the museum before when they've managed to get. Like they have like a small space where the piano is, and they'll put like a couple of like guest vehicles, and it's like I went before and it was the Ecto one, and then I went another time and it was the 1966 Batman mobile. It was pretty cool. So I'm thinking it's going to be along those lines. But
I went to the Star Wars exhibition when it was in Edinburgh years ago.
Oh, yeah.
That was very cool. I had like full-size pod racers and all various clothing, original Yoda puppets that were falling apart. Stuff like that was very cool.
Yeah, those Jim Henson puppets don't keep very well, do they? Like I've seen it. Yeah.
I seen E.T. the other day. E.T.'s a horror show now. It's like,
the rubber on the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle helmets. Have like melted away over the years, and it just looks like it's supposed to be like Michelangelo smiling, but it looks like this weird fucking swamp monster. It's horrible.
It's like 5 Nights at Freddy's kind of deal. Yeah, it's
exactly
evil looking. Yeah,
you just assume because these things are so iconic, they'd be kept pristine, but I think because of the materials used to make them, they're not. So yeah, it's a shame, but you also then have to have that conversation about whether, if Yoda's falling apart, should you be restoring it or should it be kept?
Should we just put him down?
Yoda down. I saw something the other day that's like, I didn't realize, it wasn't until I became a parent I realized that I could empathize with the fact that Yoda just couldn't be bothered answering any more questions and turned over and died. It's
True.
So it's effectively what he does. Anyone that's seen Return of the Jedi, there's a key moment where he's just pissed off with Luke asking him yet another question, and he just turns over. It's like fades into nothingness.
It's like you're lying on the couch with a hangover, and your kid comes in. He's like, "Can I get those bucks?"
Dad, can you make me a sandwich? So like when you put your child to bed and they're like, like they've never need. It's like you might as well force them to walk across the Sahara for like a day. They just get like so overwhelmingly thirsty that they can't go on unless like
Yep.
go to sleep, man. But also, guys, has anyone got anything else they wanted to blather about before we call it a night?
I just had a couple of things that I kickstarted through the door this morning. I came home to find Gangsters versus Nazis issues 1 and 2 came
nice,
through the
man.
post this morning. So that works very nice looking. It's it reminds me very much of a kind of Batman the animated series kind of artwork. It's really nice. So that's by who's this by? Matt Garvey, mattgarvey.com. So yeah, it's Gangsters versus Nazis, and it just looks like a lot of fun. It's very much Batman animated series, kind of Ty Templeton, kind of Paul Dini kind of artwork. So that's a lot of fun. So they came to the post this morning. Completely forgotten about them. I thought I'd done the digital, but I'd done the print version for the UK. So yeah, look forward to that. Like I said, I'll always try and back the physical if it's UK as opposed to US where it's digital. That's my cat meowing like mad.
That's my favorite thing. I've had to stop going on Kickstarter as I've become like more money conscious. Kickstarter is amazing for that, just because it's independent comic creators predominantly just trying to push their idea, and it's always amazing stuff. Like it's stuff that you maybe wouldn't find in the mainstream comics, but Nazis versus gangsters, or you just find stuff where it's like, I'm trying to think. I haven't backed anything in ages, but it's just if you've not got a lot of if you've not got a lot of time and you want to find something new and exciting and back an independent creator, I would always recommend just clicking the comics tab on a Kickstarter and just going for a wee jolly. It's quite exciting what you can find there. So your mic's still off.
I find a lot of random stuff on the shelves at work, and I came across this the other day. Never heard of it before. It intrigued me. I looked at that work. That looks really nice. It's Blondie. You know the band Blondie?
Oh, nice.
And basically, it's what they've done is, it says in the back, this is the blurb, combining an imaginative take on an oral history of the band, interspersed with artistic interpretations of 10 songs from the catalogue. So basically, they're taking 10 songs from Blondie and they turned it into a comic book story.
Oh, nice.
So that work, then there's like lots of pin-ups, lots of different kinds of artwork inside as well. Just looks fantastic. Something I'd never heard of. Even though it's Amanda Connor and Jimmy Palmiotti, who I know from various comics, Power Girl and Painkiller Jane and whatnot. So it's from Z2 Comics. Like I said, I saw it on the shelf at work.
I've never heard of them either. That sounds amazing.
That looks really good. I think they did a Bob Marley one as well. But yeah, it's just basically, nice black and white pin-up there of Blondie there.
Debbie.
Fantastic. But that work itself, there's lots of different kind of art styles. It's just that's a lot of fun looking. I need to go and read it at some point.
That sounds amazing. I really I've read a few comics. I mentioned obviously Kid Chaos by James Everett earlier. I quite like it when I don't know if they've done it in Blondie. Like I don't know if there'll be a page within that book where they suggest it, but I really like it when you can when music's suggested to you as you're reading. Like I've read comics where they have had like a playlist attached to the inside cover, or they've even had like the name of a song in the top corner of just before like a sequence. So you're like, play this song as you read the next 4 or 5 pages. And it's like I like that as a certainly I don't know if other comic creators or creatives have a similar thing, but I've often got like when I've been writing like Spirit of Enki and some of my other stuff, like I have had like a playlist which is like, and I know like I'm not comparing myself to the great man, but I know James Cameron does something similar when he's doing his movies. Like he has he has like a playlist, or I think when he was doing Titanic, I read somewhere that he had a mixtape that he gave to the cast, and it was like, this is the vibe. So
yeah.
Just
There's
two
a few
sides
other
of Celine
things.
Dion.
and Enya, and Enya.
Yeah, and that's why Jack decided to slip into the water instead of listening to that shit for hours.
Yeah.
I
Don't worry,
know,
Rose. Don't worry, Jack. There's plenty of space on this door. No, there's not.
it's like Celine Dion. No, I can't go on. You just walk into the water. But I know Batman Dark Knight Metal, they had an album released.
Yeah.
DC released an album song.
That was a great series, by the way, and actually quite a decent album. A bit too heavy for me, but like this,
Yeah.
anybody that hasn't read it, check out Dark Knight Metal. It's so
Yeah,
good.
it's good.
Yeah, it's a really good series. That's the most expensive. I sold all my comics a couple of years ago, to buy, like, to save up for my coffee van, effectively. And there was Teen Titans number 23 that was out at that time, made me £45 because it had the first appearance of the Batman Who Laughs in it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Who's a bit of a recurring stalwart within Batman now, but yeah, that was his first appearance. So I was able to, my sun, I had a copy that I read when I was in Turkey, and I got suntan lotion. It had a sun like a finger stain from my sun cream. So I lost a lot of value, but I was still able to sell it for £45. So,
jeez, impressive.
Yeah, it's worth like 200, I think now. If you go on eBay, you can get it for 200. And I'm like, yeah, the special edition Jeff's fingerprints version is only worth 45, unfortunately.
Yep. Just had to protect yourself from the sun.
Oh.
I know.
That's it. You could have sizzled, but no.
No. Exactly. Awesome. I had a comic that I've been reading, but I'm going to wait till next time because I can see the time, and we really call it there, though, guys. But is everyone all right? Has everyone got anything else they want to blather about before we call it night?
No, I think 1 hour 7 minutes is nice and tight for us this week, so that's good.
Beautiful, yeah. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for Bensky for coming on. Everyone, I'm gonna in the morning, which doesn't mean anything to anyone that's not watching right now. But please, in the comments, you will see all the links that Ben was talking about for their Kickstarter. They're very close to 90% done, and there's only 17 days left. So let's just help them get over the line. That'd be amazing. Great stuff. Awesome. Right, team. Catch you later. Cheers, everyone.
Bye. Take care.